All right, welcome back in. This is Lowcountry Money Talk. To our viewers who are with us on the first part of this show, we're talking Social Security. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we're still talking Social Security, so you're in luck.
Finish it up. Yes.
Phil Bloyd's here. He is with Revolutionary Financial Group, and it is nice to have you.
Thanks.
And boy, this is a big topic we're talking about today.
We can make some big mistakes here, so we need to avoid them.
Yeah, that's why we have you, the expert, to
Sure.
help us navigate this one. Okay, we're going to start back where we left off, talking about Social Security, specifically about provisional income. All these different types of income that we've talked about and what this means for us. Now, you've given us some very good examples. And before the break, we did an exercise. You showed us, some of these brackets for those filing jointly. So what does this mean for us? Let's say we fall into a bracket where half of our income of our Social Security is taxable.
Sure.
Or maybe 85% is taxable. Walk us through some of these numbers.
Sure. Okay, so here's what we want to we go back to the provisional. We did our totals. We figured out, okay, based upon, where all of my income's coming from, half of my Social Security is taxable. Okay, when we say half is taxable, now a lot of people confuse, okay, I'm working, dollar pay, I'm not talking about all that stuff. I'm talking about we're retired, we're receiving Social Security, we're not working outside that or anything else. How much is going to be taxable? So we came up with 50%. It doesn't mean that it's taxed at the rate of 50%.
Okay.
So let's see our example, go back to that. So we determined that we were getting jointly $40,000 a year in Social Security. We determined that half of it was going to be taxable.
Right.
Now we have to determine at what tax rate, income tax rate, okay? So really quick, the tax charts. So when Social Security is taxable, it's going to be taxed at your highest income tax rate.
Okay.
So let's say, Jessa, that your highest income tax rate is 22%. That means that the IRS is going to want about $4,400.
Okay. So there's really two equations we're working with here. First, we got to determine how much is taxable, and then this rate here is what you're talking about. So you can basically, math your way into exactly what's coming out.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, if we look at 85%, boy, that's a whole nother level. So then use our same example, 85% of our 40,000 is 34,000, taxed at 22%, $7,400. Now, a lot of people, especially when they first retire, they do not think about, hey, my Social Security is going to be taxable because it came out of your check when you were working.
They already got that, right?
Right. So they took over 7.5% out, and then your employer matched 7.5%. Now the IRS says, well, hey, we're going to want some tax on that.
Got it.
So that can be sneaky.
Well, it's just good to have your mind around it so you know exactly, what you have to work with. For those who are out there retired now and thinking a little bit about all of this or maybe planning for retirement, let's talk about any income that you may be able to receive that is not considered as provisional income by the IRS.
Great point, Jessa. So there's not a lot of things, okay, but one thing that I'm always talking about on this show is income from a Roth IRA.
Yes.
That does not count as provisional income. And when we do our conversion from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, it is gonna count the first year, but after it's positioned in that Roth IRA and we take funds out of there, it does not count as provisional income. So it's important that we use that as a tool to get that money moved over.
Good to know. You mentioned on the break briefly too, life. Possibly having an insurance policy there. That one's a little bit, there's some gray areas, maybe some stipulations, but maybe another way to have some provisional income.
Some life insurance policies, if you're using these for retirement means and they have various loan provisions and things, if we follow the IRS rules there, that may also not count as provisional income. So that would be another great source. We always talk about where are we going to take our money from. So it really makes a difference to determine what is taxable.
A huge difference, and that's where having somebody help you navigate some of this stuff, guide you through these, because it's a lot to understand and keep track of. So, speaking of a lot to understand and keep track of, we're going to talk a little bit about the stock market. On the other side of this break, try and unpack that a little bit for you. We'll be back with Lowcountry Money Talk.